So as of recording this, Capcom Cup is officially canceled due to COVID, which is understandable. It's still running rampant. The death rates are in the 6 figures, 5 figures here in the US. There's a bunch of new variants and things to worry about. So I get why they had to cancel it. But as a big fan of the competitive side of this game, I am kind of disappointed. There's a few things that I thought would be really cool to see finally, because Capcom Cup actually got canceled last year too. Daigo has qualified for both, and both of them have gotten canceled, so we're not going to get to see him play. There's a lot of talent that was going to be there as well that had not gotten a chance to flourish or show themselves off previously, and that's because of the online qualifiers in the various regions. So a lot more regions were being represented, and I was really excited to see that. There were players from Peru, there were players from South Africa, there was players from Australia, players from all over the world. It was truly an international competition. My biggest hope was that we would get a Tekken storyline where somebody from a different region that hadn't been there previously, like South Africa or something, would show up and just dominate, and we would just know that there was a pool of talent that had not been tapped into yet. But I guess that kind of already happened with Mena when he won. There was a lot of storied players who would be there, like Punk and NL and Mago, but they also had some newer faces, or faces that were more familiar to me, like Brian F and Rob TV, which would have been really cool to see play against some of the best in the world on an international stage. Also, the Street Fighter League, I think it was going to be the American Street Fighter League versus the Japanese one, is also canceled because it was going to be at Capcom Cup. So that kind of sucks to see, because if you don't keep up with that, the Japanese Street Fighter League I feel like is much more intense than the American counterpart. The only reason I say that is because they don't use the same ban system that they use in the US. I think in Japan they use a home and away system, so one team is the home team and they have to show their picks, I think, before the away team, or maybe it's vice versa, but that's how it works. One team shows their picks, and then the other team can counterpick and switch their order around. In the US, it's a pick ban system, which, to be honest, is not as fun to watch as the other version, where the players can play whatever character they want. They can play their main characters, because the pick ban system leads to players like NL getting banned out from Cammy for multiple weeks, and it's what's the point? I don't want to watch NL play secondary against somebody's main. At a world-class level, when both players are world-class players, it doesn't make sense to make one of them have to have a handicap and the other guy's playing his main character. But all that aside, what really worries me about the future of Street Fighter, or the future of Street Fighter 5, I guess, is that we're in the last season of this game, and the last character's out, and Capcom Cup was really supposed to be the height, the apex of the season. And then after that, they would drop a big patch. So I think what they were going for was they would get Capcom Cup to hype everybody up. They'd put out the patch, and everybody would come back to the game right out that final season. And ideally, they would announce something about the next title, the next Street Fighter project, I think is what they're calling it. It's not necessarily Street Fighter 6. It could be Street Fighter Cross something, or I hope it's Street Fighter 6, but it could be something else, which might be even more fun than I'm imagining. But the main thing is that most of the community, I feel is getting tired of this game. They're getting tired of Street Fighter 5 because it's been out for 6 years. And we're supposed to be at the end, but we haven't gotten any news about the next project. We don't even know when it could come out. The only thing we know is that Luke is going to be in it. And so with no news, and the biggest tournament that everybody's been looking forward to who still plays this game being canceled for understandable reasons, but it is still disappointing, sort of takes the wind out of a lot of people's sails, I think, as far as what I'm seeing on Twitter and my own reaction. At the highest level, there's not really much for them to work towards anymore, and when you see people at the top sort of feeling like they don't want to play anymore, or they're not motivated to play anymore, I feel it has a trickle-down effect throughout the community, Because whether or not you like to think about it this way, top players do influence the lower rungs on the ladder, So when the top players of your game feel like there's nothing left to do here, and the champions at the end of the day have already been decided, the game's been out 6 years, I don't think it's a very good look. I don't think it spells good things for at least the competitive side of the game going into the future. There's not much left to look forward to. We'll get the final patch, but hopefully they announce something about a new game by the end of the year, or by early 2023. I really think if it takes any longer than that, it's going to be bad. I think a lot of people are going to drop off. I personally know people who have been playing this game for 6 years who are sick of it. They played it every single day for 6 years, and they're now getting kind of tired of it because they can't play offline anymore. It's crazy to think that first Capcom Cup that I ever watched in 2019, where Idom won, will be the last Capcom Cup that I watched for Street Fighter 5. And he'll be the last champion for Street Fighter 5. Unless they're planning on running one for 2023, but I don't think that's the case. those announcements that they've been making, the one that they made for Luke and the showcase and everything, made it pretty clear that support for this game is going to be stopping soon, I think. But who knows? It's all speculation at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. Thanks so much.